Greetings, Principles of Marketing Humans. Dr. Pellegrino back with you, and we're here today to talk about how we classify retail outlets. So, as you've been through the chapter, I'm sure, we have a couple of different ways, 3 different ways that we classify retail outlets. By the form of ownership, by the level of service, and by the breadth and depth of the merchandise line. So, for example, we have 3 types of forms of ownership: the independent retailer, the corporate chain, and then the contractual system. So an independent retailer would be much like my favorite place to eat here in Stephenville, Big O's. He owns it, and it's his place, and nobody else is involved, and he can just do what he wants. So that's an independent retailer. Now you also have something called a corporate chain. And corporate chains are stores that all have central ownership. So Nordstrom's or Macy's, or my personal favorite, Neiman Marcus. So Neiman Marcus is a chain, and when they open up stores, it's the corporate headquarters that is giving the go ahead to go and open that chain. And then you have contractual systems, and there are a couple of different ways you can do contractual systems. You can do from the wholesaler's standpoint. The one that's probably the most common is franchises, and you're familiar with franchises. McDonald's and Subway and Dunkin' Donuts. I actually know a guy back in South Florida that owns several. I think he's got 15 or 16 Dunkin' Donuts. And so those are a little different. The actual store is owned by an individual, but they have a very, very close relationship with the business. And that can involve the business owning the land that the store is on, maybe. It can be that you are required to buy from particular suppliers that the corporate partner has authorized. And so we've got the idea of form of ownership, whether it's an independent retailer or a corporate chain, or this blend, this contractual system, is one way about looking at how we do classification in terms of form of ownership. Now we can also classify by level of service. Now level of service, the self-service is going to be like a gas station, right? And I'm sure none of you are old enough to remember full-service gas stations where they'd come out and clean your windshield and pump the gas for you in the whole 9 yards. But in any case, self-service is like Redbox. You just go up and, self-service. Vending machines are self-service. Limited service would be, like the grocery store, your Walmart. Those are limited service retailers. And then your full service, we're back to, needless markup. Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom's, where they'll do everything for you. They'll take you through. I can remember buying Brooks Brothers suits at the Brooks Brothers on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, and you you're in there, man. They're on top of you. They're fitting you, and it's a whole process. So that's what we consider the full service. And then we can also classify based on the width and depth of a product line. So the breadth, the width, how many different kinds of product lines there are, and then the depth, how deep those product lines are. So you can have a wide, lots and lots of different product lines, but only a few of each one. So that'd be a wide breadth and a shallow depth. And that would be like a Walmart, right? They have a lot of everything, but not a lot of options within each thing, you know? And then when you have the wide and the very deep, then you're into, you know, these department stores, what Sears used to be, J.C. Penney, where you can buy anything from, you know, tires to perfume, and they have lots of options. They have not done very well against the stores that went wide and shallow. And so there's that. Now, if you're narrow, you only have a few types of product lines. That means that you're either a specialty store or a category killer. Now, this means, so for example, let's say we have a very, you know, narrow focus and not a lot of options. That's a small, like, local jewelry store. You know, they're not going to have a lot of options. They're just going to have a few little things, and, you know, go in, you might find a treasure. But then you can have a very narrow focus, but with lots and lots of options. And I always think of Toys R Us, right? They're a category killer. You know, they sell every kind of toy and all sorts of varieties of those toys, and that's where you get this merchandise line standard. So, you know, depending on what kind of business you have, you can classify any one of these three or all three of them. There are ways to classify. So that's today's little conversation about retailing. I hope you'd enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next chapter.